All right, folks, today we're taking a look at the ROCCAT Burst Pro. It is their newest mouse and what is to be their most competitive mouse currently. This is a 68-gram right-handed symmetrical mouse for a very affordable price of $59.99. We've got a 3389 sensor that is supposedly tuned to ROCCAT specifications, as they call it the Owl Eye. They've had this in other mice in the past, and I've never had any issues with it whatsoever, including the Cane Pure Ultra. This is a symmetrical mouse, but it is right-handed only, as there are side buttons only on the left side. You've got Titan optical switches. They are 100 million clicks, so the durability is definitely there. However, I feel like there is a little bit of a mush to it with the Razer opticals as well. So I still prefer the mechanical clicks that's still out there on the industry. I'm assuming the opticals are eventually going to take over. They definitely do the job. They don't necessarily impede you in any way, but as far as feeling goes, I'm not the biggest fan of it. The mouse 1 and 2, this is going to be the pre and post travel. You've got very, very minimal pre-travel, a little bit of post-travel, but nothing that's going to necessarily sway you or deter you. As far as the swaying on mouse 1 and 2, almost non-existent, which is awesome considering this is a split mouse design. So you've got two individual buttons here. The center is going to have your scroll wheel, which ROCCAT owns the market when it comes to scroll wheels. They're always awesome. They feel very tactile, but also smooth, so not too clunky. You've got your DPI switch, which default has 5 options. You can bring it down to 1, and your DPI can be adjusted in 50 increments through the Swarm software. Also with the software, you can change the liftoff distance. You can also change the actual steps that go along with the scroll wheel. You can change your RGB, all that good stuff. The Swarm software definitely does what it needs to do. It's not the greatest, as it gets a little confusing, but it does allow you to customize this mouse even further, which is awesome. The coating itself is really, or the surface I should say, lacks the coating that I love about the other ROCCAT products. The Cane Pure Ultra had this weird plastic rubberized feel to it. I don't know what it was, some UV coating, and I feel like it's kind of missing on this because my hand gets a little bit warmer. It does show fingerprints when you are using the mouse. On the side though, it is plastic with molded little digital hexagons, which offer grip, and you can definitely feel it. It's definitely not comfortable. I do like it a lot, but I'm sure we will see grip tape in the future. And sticking with the discussion of the shell, I really like the design of this. I think it's really awesome to see how ROCCAT's sticking to what they loved about the Cane Pure Ultra, and what folks loved about it is that it was a lightweight mouse. With this being only 68 grams, it's still a complete shell. Just like the Viper, the engineers have done a great job of making sure that it is structurally sound without any creaking or flexing in any way, while still offering a solid mouse design. And the RGB coming through the skeletal frame is definitely something really cool that I don't believe we've really seen because of that translucent shell. Underneath the mouse, we have some heat-treated PTFE feet. You can see by the lighting a little bit that they are tapered, and I do like that. It's not gonna mean that there's a lot of drag on the mouse if it's a large surface area that has to make contact. Obviously, it's common knowledge that the more surface area that's being touched, the more friction there is, and this has some amazing slide for stock feet. So, you know, ROCCAT's 2 for 2 right now. I believe that the paracord is good enough that it doesn't necessarily need to be changed unless you want a different color. And now also the mouse feet offer incredible glide, and then you also get the extra pair included. So if you end up needing to replace them for any reason, or you change your paracord, you have that option, which is great. Now the clicks themselves, going back to it, again, they have this weird mushy feeling. I don't think it's going to be anything that would necessarily prevent you from wanting to use a mouse because it is a very comfortable mouse. I will say though, on the side buttons, the front one definitely is more tactile than the second one, and it doesn't feel like they're different clicks, but more or less the mechanism or the plastic housing of the rear button, it just seemed really weak. There's definitely a lot more give to it, a little bit softer. Let's go ahead and give you a sound test now. Now the shape on the ROCCAT Burst Pro is going to be 120 millimeters long. We're looking at 58 millimeters at the grip and 38 millimeters tall. It definitely is going to draw a comparison to the XM1, and for good reason, because the XM1 is coming in at, I believe, 2 millimeters longer at 122. Then I believe it's 56 at the grip and then the same 38 at the height. But while on paper they definitely have similarities, in person they are vastly different. The actual slope of the front, where mouse 1 and 2 are, it's a lot more rounded on the Burst Pro as opposed to a more flat runoff on the XM1, as well as the scroll wheel. That was my biggest complaint with the XM1. I don't like how forward it is on the mouse and how small. And obviously this has a more safe, neutral positioning on the mouse with a larger scroll wheel as well. As far as the side buttons are a little bit pushed forward, and on the Burst Pro it's more symmetrical in line with the center of the mouse. So there is going to be some differences there. On the back end, it has that teardrop that kind of formed right into your palm, whereas this is just your traditional rounded endpoint. So they're very similar, but also incredibly different. And I would say that comparing these two, you might as well include the S2. Now the S2 is going to draw a little bit different because you have that flat spot on the S2 that's so popular and what makes a lot of folks really like the mouse. And then of course the S2 is a unibody finish. So they're not split like right here where it's individual pieces of plastic. This is one complete piece of plastic. Some people don't like that because then if you're clicking in different directions or different positions of mouse 1 and 2, you're going to get different resistance. And I will say the same can be said on this. There's a little bit more of like a reverb if you end up having to click mouse 1 or 2 on the back end of the buttons than toward the center or toward the front. Now this mouse is going to be great for those that are claw or fingertip. I don't recommend it for those that have palm unless you have a very small hand. The flare out point on here is fantastic for your fingertip grip, as it'll definitely allow you to really grab onto this with enough grip and clamping force without any issues whatsoever. So what are my impressions after using this for a week now? I would say that I definitely do recommend it. $59.99, you're getting yourself a $33.89 sensor, a fantastic paracord that while it's not the best out of the box compared to other mice, it's still serviceable. 68 grams. It's a very comfortable and safe shape for those that have claw or fingertip. I felt the most comfort out of using claw on this more than anything. And it's more of a relaxed claw for sure. But this is definitely a very worthy investment. And I think ROCCAT took a lot of criticism from the Kone Pure Ultra and recognized what was wrong with it, because this was technically a rehash of their old Kone Pure and they just really gutted the insides of it. But with them being able to identify and see that they really need to come out with a paracord, proper feet, it's awesome. And I really feel that this could definitely be your next mouse if that shape and the grip size is for you. Other than that, I am all set. If you guys have any questions on this mouse at all, definitely leave a comment below. I appreciate you watching the video. If you liked it, please throw a like. And if you want more content, definitely subscribe. Until next time, I'm Jafer, and you guys stay safe.